Hey there, welcome to saas.unbound podcast. I'm your host, I'm Nadeina, how to growth at Saas Group, a serial acquirer buying wonderful SaaS businesses to take them to the next level. And here I chat with inspiring founders and experts to get an inside scoop on how they made their business success. And today with me here is Lisa, CEO of Zenloop, a customer experience action management platform, and one of the brands Saas Group actually acquired last year. So super happy to see you here.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, anytime. Super excited. And, I guess before we go anywhere, let's start with your background because you got a really fascinating story.
Yeah, sure. So I am living in Hamburg now. I am Swedish, but I've lived in Hamburg for 20 years. So I'm half a German mentally. And I've been doing different things, starting out studying chemical engineering. I do love chemistry. I do love science. And I've been doing different things, moved into IT and internet, the internet industry quite a few years ago. And in my past, I have worked with science related stuff, but in the last few years, it's been more building products, building teams. I founded a startup together with some Swedish old friends of mine. So I have the founding experience in my past, and then I've been a manager for quite a few years as well.
Okay. What was the previous company
The one that I
that you
founded,
founded? Yes.
yeah, it was in the food space. Actually, you might have heard of HelloFresh. The company that I founded was the original. The original came from Sweden, so it wasn't my idea. I didn't invent it, but I did start up the German market together with these Swedish founders. So that was a lot about cooling chains and how long does food stay fresh, etc. So that was a really, really cool experience. I did start that. I must have been 35 or something. So that's quite late, I think, to do a first startup. But it was the most fun job I've ever had up until now, of course, where I got to invent and try things out and build my own working environment. And that was it was the most interesting thing I've done, the most challenging, the most fun, and also the most painful thing I've done because I had the cash flow right on my skin, and when I decided to wind that down, I was like, oh, I would love to do something like that again, but then with an app is what I thought back then. Something that scales, something that doesn't need a cool chain to be transported. And with Zenloop, I actually have this chance. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, I knew your story obviously before this episode, but I think it matches so well with what we're doing at Sauce Group because we value this entrepreneurial mind and ownership over your work. So coming back from your own founding experience, I think it makes it a little bit easier to jump into this new role. So how did you find Sauce Group, or how did Sauce
Ah,
Group find you?
yes. Well, network, baby. So I have known one of the founders of SaaS Group, Toby, for a very long time. We worked together 100 years ago, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have known that this opportunity was there. So Toby asked me. He told me about Zenloop. He asked me if I thought it sounded interesting and if I wanted to throw my hat in the ring, if I wanted to apply for this job that they were looking for a new CEO, managing director, and I did want to do that. And I'm really, really happy that they decided to give me this opportunity to do it. Yeah, that
Oh
they
yeah.
picked me.
Network baby. That's that's a good line. I think
Yeah.
it changes everything. All right, but also like what did excite you about Zenloop so much, and what again, this is a of course we're talking about it as an individual brand, but it's also a part of the umbrella, the group.
Mm.
So, what was the most appealing? Was it just another chance to kind of own the product and take it to the next level and give it the second
Mm.
chance in this case? or
Yeah.
it's also about like being a part of something bigger?
Well, Zenloop specifically. So after I did my own startup, where when we did wind that down, we got so many love letters from the customers. We had really done something good for the customers, and the job I went on to do after that, I was still building products. I was doing that with like reach and capital in my back. So I was doing business development for a larger company. And during that time, I built a couple of sales and customer success teams and evolved more into the post sales experience, building customer success, customer service capabilities. And that really suited me well because I do want to do, sustainable things. I want to, it's a very positive environment. You're helping customers, you're working on making them successful with your products. So that's what I was doing when Toby asked me. And Zenloop is like the perfect match of that because it's a very, very positive product. It helps companies to actually be customer centric and to leave the guesswork aside and actually know what sentiments their customers have, how they experience the customer journey, and improve it. So it's a very positive product. The product itself is relevant. I do have this knowledge about customer experience that I would be able to use. Plus, of course, the opportunity to really get to build and really get to do all of the things that happens in a company. I am a generalist, and I do like to have the bird's view of the entire business, and that's what I get to do now. So it's been. I used to say that Compt Essen, the name of my startup, was the most fun thing I've done, but I actually think that this is the most fun thing I've ever done.
That's great to hear. And maybe I can throw a shameless plug here that we actually have a couple more CEO roles open at saas Group. So Lisa is a perfect example of how you can join us and actually get to do all this stuff.
Yeah,
But
and if I get to plug that a bit,
yes,
because you did ask also, was it Zenloop or was it it's a part of a bigger thing, and I think that's a real advantage because the startups that SaaS Group buy, they are quite small in like man and woman power, but being a part of SaaS Group, we do punch over our weight because we can use the capabilities that SaaS Group have. They do put resources at our disposal, but they also stay away. So as long as the direction is good, it gives me the opportunity to steer and shape what we're going to do.
yeah. So I know I gave you guys a bit of an intro, but what is actually Zenloop? What does it do, and what is the biggest problem that it solves?
So Zenloop is the leading customer experience management platform. We help the customers to listen to their customers, to actually hear what they're saying, to understand that feedback that they get, to deduct insights from that, and most importantly, and most that's also one of the most difficult parts, to actually act upon that feedback. We do that with a really intuitive tool at the hands of the department that is responsible for the customer feedback or for the customer sentiment. You don't need the IT department. You don't need business analytics. You can integrate there, but you don't need it. And we do put these insights where they should be. We put the customer at the table where the decisions are taken, by channeling the right feedback to the right departments. So I'd say we are best of breed of customer experience management and award winning.
To say the least. All right, so I want to of course move to Zenloop itself, and for saas Group it wasn't a usual deal. It Zenloop actually filed for bankruptcy, and we bought them only after. But it's a great product, right? They had an amazing team, slightly too big maybe, and it went through a significant resize. I think it just added maybe a bit of a challenge for you as just coming as a new CEO and making sure that the team is still there, whoever's remaining, they still believe in the product, they still believe in the company, and kind of, they see the future. So how did you navigate this? Because it's a huge change for all the people involved.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. So Zenloop itself was founded in 2016 by Björn Kolbmüller, Paul Schwarzenhort, and a guy named Lukas Lazewski. They founded it in Berlin, and Björn and Paul, they had founded Flaconi before. And Flaconi is it's an e-commerce beauty brand, quite successful one in the DACH region or on the European markets. So they did that with VC, and they built a product that works really, really well, has product market fit. They had growth and everything, but being VC funded, of course, they had to present hockey stick growth things. And when money got expensive a couple of years ago, it was hard for them to get the follow-up funding. And Zenloop actually filed for insolvency and was restructured. It was restructured before saas.group bought it, and the team was very much reduced. And that type of experience is, of course, it's like traumatizing for someone. You were in a certain setting, and it was quite a bit of money at hand, and then going back to like a bootstrapping situation where, because that's the way saas group wants all of their brands to work, in a bootstrapping mindset. So when I came in, and at the same time our CTPO Ali came in, the company was, or the team was still, in that transition, going from a larger setting to a bootstrapping setting where we needed to think more startup. So what did we do? For me, I mean, my coming into the team was also a change. That was the next change for them. So I have been focusing quite a bit on team building, on building trust, on creating a plan, a vision, where we're going, and working with the team on that. And one thing that is, I think, super important in that sense is for me to gain the trust of the team. And I try to do that by being really trustworthy. Basically, if I say something, it also has to happen. And it's now 10 months in, and I do think that we've come quite a long way now. So we are now in a good place, I'd say. But it's
That's good.
been a journey for the team. So a little more than half of the team are old Zenloopis, which is so valuable because they have all of this knowledge and insight into the market and into the products and the customers. And then we have some fresh faces who bring in other experiences. So it's a good mix as well.
Well, from what I hear, you guys with that very small lean team, you still generate pretty much the same revenue as that bigger team generated before they had to file for bankruptcy. So you must be doing something right, right? So what have you changed in like the overall workflow of the company to remain on that level?
Yeah. Yeah. So we do have a lot of assets. So we have a legacy product with product market fit. We have marketing material. We have sales material. We have a well-filled lead database. But what we had to do was regain the trust of the customers. Of course, that's a shaky thing to have a vendor of yours file for bankruptcy. So we had to regain the trust of the customers. And what we do, Ali and me, is that we are conducting management meetings. We want to meet as many customers as possible and hear straight from them. What are their pains? What are their grievances? What are their strategies? What do they want to achieve with their work in customer experience? And also to try out the ideas that we have, the plans that we have for Zenloop, to check in with the customers. Does this excite you? Is this something you're willing to pay for? Basically. So that is one thing that we've done. But the other thing that we needed to do was to change how we work, how we deliver. Because in this lean, mean machine that we are, we need to ship fast, and we needed to like go from like I wouldn't say a corporate mindset, but you know, a bigger company mindset into the startup mode again, to try, fail fast, go to the next, ship, and make the customers feel that there is something happening, that Zenloop is evolving. So the legacy product is good, has product market fit, but also has had a couple of flaws. So we have revamped the whole thing with Ali's help. So Ali, our CTPO, he has vast experience in the CX field, but he's also really advanced in AI. So many people say that they are, but in this case, it's actually true. So we are revamping Zenloop, putting AI at the core of the product, at the heart. And we actually launched the beta in June, and are now migrating customers to the new solutions. And it's really cool. And when we have these interactions with the customers, they are happy. They are happy to see that Zenloop, a product that already had a brand and already had customer love, and that it's actually moving forward, and that they can continue working with us. So retention is definitely a big thing, and we're working hard on that, being customer centric, being close to the customer and their needs. But we plan to grow, and we are growing. We are winning new logos, and we've done so very well this year.
That's perfect. That's a great story. You're giving this second life to something that's been good, maybe just a little mismanaged in a way. So tell me a little bit more about your growth strategy, because obviously you guys want to grow. Now it's maybe not the time is not on your side potentially, with the last year and this year being a bit slower with acquisition. But yeah, even like when I look at where you guys are, where you present the awards you're given, I'm like, okay, well, Zenloop is really moving, huh? Like you guys are everywhere.
Yeah.
That's really fun. So tell me a
Yes.
little bit more about your growth strategy and talking to customers, how you're doing this.
Yeah. So we are in the situation now that we have a team that is more fitting to the size of the team, is more fitting to the money that we're actually earning. And doing this bootstrapping mindset, we are flexible. So we try to get out there and talk to as many customers as possible, but we don't have a budget to do huge branding campaigns or anything. We're focusing very much on trying to meet our potential customers where they are. Well, the industries that we serve mostly right now is e-commerce. Of course, that's where Zenloop comes from, with Flaconi and everything. But we also have quite a few customers in the energy industry, utilities, but basically anywhere where a company has a lot of interaction with their end customers. That's where we can really leverage how they work. We take step by step, and we're being flexible. So we also have this legacy lead database that we can work with. So we do have quite a few assets that we can continue working on. But we are restarting, the communication on LinkedIn and performance marketing, being at events where our customers are. And one event where we went was the K5 in Berlin, where we did win the K5 Commerce Award for customer experience, which was a really cool thing. They see
Yeah.
what we're doing, and they see that we are the best market fit. It's yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and again, congratulations. And yeah, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, like, yeah, on one hand, you came to allegedly a failed company, and that must have been really difficult to comprehend, and you have to kind of rebuild. But at the same time, looking at it from a different perspective, that it's not a ruin. It just took a detour to like a completely different space, and now you have to steer it in the right direction. And you have this advantage of on one point having all the legacy contracts and databases, but at the same time you still have a lot of empty spaces to fill where you can grow sustainably.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about for Zenloop for, I don't know, the next half a year or a year?
Yeah, I have to say one thing. I don't think Zenloop wasn't a failed company. It's a really great product. It was. I'd say it was a VC problem, actually, that if a VC invests, they do want a certain kind of development. And that wasn't really a fit to this market, maybe. So the company itself, I think if money had still been cheap, that wouldn't perhaps have happened. But yeah, for the next half year, what am I excited about? Rolling out Zenloop 2.0, which is really AI at the heart of everything, at the heart of how you collect the customer sentiment, the customer feedback, how that feedback is processed, how it's labeled, how it's categorized, how it's interpreted, how we can deliver the insights to our customers. Um, it's just a completely new way of doing it. And I'm really excited that we are at that point now where we can give it to our customers and where we can also start selling with that, because we haven't really been showing that to potential customers and prospects. We wanted to have it done before we would do that. We don't want to promise anything that isn't there. So now we can do that, and I'm really excited to see what happens when we start demoing this to prospects as well. Yeah, so this next half year will be really exciting in that sense.
But were you talking to your customers, like potentially just, giving them an idea of having AI in Zenloop? How did they react?
Well, the prospects, we've only been hinting to the prospects. We've been showing them what's there. So we've been showing them 1.0. So the ones that bought Zenloop in May, they bought what's there, and they will now have the lovely surprise of a leap in the product. But the customers that were already using Zenloop, when we discussed with them, we showed them what we're doing. We showed them very, very early stages when it was still not really pretty, but just functional. That's something that Ali is really good at doing. He's taking the customers with him on the development journey, and we were met with really positive reactions, stuff like "wow" and "okay, that solves everything," you know. Some things that we've pitched have not met that reaction, but that is the input that we want. So then we will drop that and not follow down that path, but go where the customers are excited.
Yeah, I think that's super important. We talked a lot here about the fact that, people are not really trained to tell you that you suck. They will see your product and they will say, "Oh, yes, sure, that is lovely." And then when it's ready, there will be like, "Okay, well, that's great. You should find a customer somewhere else because I'm not really
Yeah.
ready to pay for it." So I think getting, criticism sometimes is even more important.
Yeah. Yeah. We do ask that question. We do ask, is this useful for you? And in many of these conversations, the customers have also been asking, so is this going to be included or is it going to be cost more? And it is actually an upgrade because in connection, I mean, we have costs for AI as well. So it is an upgrade, and we have been transparent about that. And the customers have then said, yes, okay. How much then? How much do you want?
Okay, that's good. Did you? I'm always curious, like, how do you do that? Because it's, again, it's one thing to ask to kind of get the validation, kind of, the verbal contract. It's not always binding, right? So, do you go to customers with potentially a contract, asking them, "Hey, you know what we're building? That can you sign?" And then we'll build it, or how does it work?
Yeah, no, the moment of truth was when we launched the beta, because that's when we've been approaching the customers to say, okay, now it's ready for you to use. It's still in a beta phase. In order to get access to the beta, you have to sign the contracts, and they do. So the moment of
Okay.
truth has been there. Not everyone at once, you know. There are also
Yeah.
some people who say, okay, I don't need it right now. We're doing XYZ before we want to start using that. So, but most of them are wanting to move on.
Perfect. All right. Well, I want to ask you another question about, because you just said you want to grow, right? And acquisition is going to be a big thing. And a lot of companies, even now, right, even in this retention era, still think that, customer experience, customer success is mostly a cost center. So really getting them excited about a tool that works with that is a bit of a
Yeah.
challenge. How do you solve that problem?
Yeah, yes, that's also something that I was working on in my previous position. So I am a firm believer that putting the customer at the center of your actions is sustainably good for your company. It does add revenue. It does prevent churn. It helps you grow. In order to actually make that palpable, how much then? Because every decision we make is it's a decision for something, but it's also a decision against something else. If I choose to invest my time here, I'm not doing it over there. So the fight for resources is something that many of these post-sales teams fight with. And I'm also a data lover, and I think it's really, really important to show in real data, in numbers, what happens if I do this and what happens if I don't. So I do have some examples from my previous job, but I also have customers right now who, the ones that are, far along in the journey and are really data savvy, that can actually show that this work, it prevents churn, and they can show how much, and they can show how does this work influence the customer sentiment, and how much revenue do they generate with customers who would otherwise not have stayed. So to say that it is a cost center, but I think it's important to help these teams to actually show their contribution to the top line, and we are able to do so, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's great. I've had a conversation with another founder. You know him. It's Malte from Rikova, and what he said was basically what you need to do if you're kind of perceived as a cost center, you have to show them the number. You're absolutely right. So you have to show them how much they're saving, or how much more they can do if they have your product at hand.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very similar approach.
Yes, the investment that you do to keep a customer. I mean, the CAC, the customer acquisition cost, is in all the cases where I've had data at hand, it's so much higher to win a new customer than to actually do this post-purchase investment and keep the customer. The thing is to show what do you need to do and what happens if you don't. How high is the churn rate if you don't, and how high is it if you do?
Okay. All right. Well, I have just a couple more questions, and maybe it's a bit early to ask, but I still think it will be relevant because it's been a bit of a journey. You just jumped right into solving all the challenges and finding all the new ways to grow with Zenloop. So far, it's been a little over a year, right? A year.
For me,
Yes.
no, for me it's been 10 months.
10 months. Okay, not even a year. A lot has happened. What has been the biggest win and the biggest failure or
Yeah.
challenge?
Yes. Yes. You did share that you were going to ask that with me, and I've been thinking long and hard. So the biggest win for me personally has been to actually get into this job and to get to work with these people, with the team, and with the customers, and to actually experience this. We are talking to customers, and then we are acting upon it. It's a really short time span between thought and actually testing it out. That has been the biggest win for me personally. For Zenloop, I think the biggest win has been the refocusing and putting AI at the heart of the product that we have actually executed in 6 months, which is really cool. Around the failures, I am such a dig where you stand person. If something goes wrong, it's like, okay, what are we learning and where do we go from here? Yeah, I don't have a good answer for. We haven't had big fails until now.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
I'll get
Let's
back
let's
to you in
keep
a
it that
year.
way. Yes, we'll talk about it again, hopefully next year, just to see where you're at. I mean, I'm also very excited about the whole AI move because I think you guys are one of the first in the group to actually move to this AI
Yeah.
powered thing. So you will be the pioneers, and we'll just learn from you. But yeah, the last question is always about a hack, right? So again, it can be something just for you, because you again you went to this completely new company to solve interesting problems with the team that doesn't know you, having to motivate them and having to give the second life to this product. Was there something that helped you? It can be something completely unconventional, or just something that works.
Yeah, I always make an effort really to understand the people I'm working with, to understand what their strengths are and to understand what motivates them, because I do believe that catering to that, to actually using the strengths and actually uh, try to do that in a way that is motivating for the individual, that brings out the very best in everyone, and that means that they will bring their best efforts to Zenloop. So I do go heads first into team building and actually understanding, talking, doing marital counseling before there is a problem, because the more you know about each other, the more you forgive, basically. So that my hack would be to really focus on getting an understanding for the individuals and then making that work in a group.
Oh, that's a really good hack. I don't think anyone's ever shared anything like this, but I think again it like speaks about the entire culture as well. Like we have this team manuals where you can read about each other and actually understand what people like and don't like and how to connect with them. So that's perfect. Thanks for sharing it. How did you say it? I really loved it. The more you know about a person, the more you forgive. Oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna print it on a T-shirt.
That's nice.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been great talking to you. I mean, yeah, watching Zenloop this year has been quite a journey from getting a company that didn't really fit the portfolio at first, but then seeing it integrate so perfectly and taking this sustainable growth approach. It's really great, and it's thanks to you and the team. So thanks for doing what you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, anytime, and take care.